To understand this fight, you have to stop looking at it like a normal title defense. This is not just champion versus challenger. This is not just youth versus experience. This is a match where Ippo is slowly dragged into a place where his own boxing cannot breathe. The build-up already tells us something is wrong. The boxing world is restless. Reporters are talking about champion carnival, belts being defended, belts possibly being relinquished, and the feeling that Makunuchi Ippo may soon move beyond the Japanese title picture. The media wants a clean story. Fans want a knockout. Everyone wants the champion to prove, one more time, that he is ready for a bigger stage. Then the name Take Keiichi appears, tied to Sameichi Boxing Gym in Kyushu, a veteran with a strong record and enough experience to make the conversation shift from excitement to caution. The setting itself expands the world. We are no longer just sitting inside familiar gym walls. The camera moves from magazine offices to regional gyms, from speculation to preparation, from rumor to threat. And that matters, because Taka is not introduced as a flashy monster. He is introduced as a seasoned problem, a man who has been through enough fights to understand how younger champions breathe, panic, press, and repeat themselves. Ippo also knows he is not entering perfectly. His foot is still bothering him. He is moving awkwardly, carrying pain, still trying to turn a damaged body into a champion's body before the deadline arrives. He cannot build a perfect strategy because the veteran remains partly unknown. What he has instead is a theme: tenacity. The opponent will endure. The opponent will not collapse neatly. So Ippo chooses the path that has always sounded like him. He will work himself to the limit. He will run. He will build stamina. He will rely on relentless punches and the will to keep moving forward. But the cruel twist is that Take Keiichi is preparing to attack that exact identity. He is not coming to outpunch Ippo in open water. He is coming to sink him, inch by inch, until the champion finds himself at the bottom of the sea. The first tactical layer of the fight is endurance. Not just stamina in the simple sense, not just a strong chin. Take Keiichi represents the kind of veteran who has learned how to survive the emotional weather of boxing. Ippo and his allies do not have a clean blueprint. They know Take is tenacious. They know he has endurance. They understand he carries the danger of a man who has stayed in the sport long enough to collect tricks, scars, and habits that do not appear clearly on paper. That creates a very specific kind of pressure for Ippo. When you fight a fragile opponent, every punch feels like progress. You hit the guard and it weakens. You hit the body and the legs slow. You hit the chin and the crowd begins to rise. But when you fight a durable veteran, clean contact can become a psychological trap. Leather lands on flesh, but the opponent stays there. He breathes, he adjusts, he takes away the follow-up. Suddenly, the punch that should have made you confident makes you anxious instead, because it proves the man in front of you is not obeying the usual rules of damage. That is why Ippo's preparation focuses so heavily on stamina and tenacious punching. He cannot solve Take with perfect information, so he sharpens the thing he trusts most: a forward-moving, unhesitating assault. The visuals make this preparation feel grounded and painful. Ippo limps, he reflects, he feels the title defense closing in. Then the story pulls us inward, toward memory and family. The image of young Ippo reaching toward his father gives the upcoming fight a deeper emotional foundation. His punches are not only athletic tools, they are connected to identity, loss, responsibility, and the need to keep standing. And that matters because Take Keiichi is not planning to fight a clean, inspirational match. He is going to make Ippo fight ugly. He is going to drag Ippo into the exact range where the champion normally feels strongest, and prove that even close-range specialists can be imprisoned. Before the first clinch fully locks in, the fight is already whispering its thesis. Toughness alone will not win this. But without toughness, Ippo will not even reach the part where tactics matter. Once the match reaches the clinch exchanges, Take's plan begins to show its teeth. Clinching in boxing can look like a pause if you only watch for punches. It can look like a fighter resting, smothering action, or waiting for the referee to separate them. But in this fight, the clinch is not a break from the action. The clinch is the action. Take is not just holding Ippo to slow him down, he is sealing him. One of Ippo's arms is trapped behind the body, the other is controlled, crowded, and denied full extension. His chest is compressed, his shoulders are smothered. The pocket where Ippo usually creates torque disappears. This is where the bottom of the sea feeling begins. Ippo wants to throw, but the pressure is too heavy. He tries to punch anyway, but Take blocks, leans, and ties him back up. The champion realizes that waiting for a clean reset will not work. He has to fight in the tiny moment between lock and release. If a punch is blocked, the separation after that block becomes an opening. That is not a comfortable strategy. That is survival inside a tactical cage. Ippo starts mixing body and head punches from within the clinch, forcing take back in brief bursts. The crowd reacts because even trapped, Ippo can still produce danger. Then, Take adds the next layer, a sudden shift to southpaw. That stance change flips the distance, changes the angle of the lead hand, and ruins the range Ippo had begun to understand. For an orthodox pressure fighter, it is like someone moved the floor under his feet while he was already underwater. And yet, Ippo answers. He catches Take with a left hook, then fires a rapid sequence of uppercuts. 3 uppercuts land in succession, snapping the veteran's head and electrifying the arena. This sequence is important because it proves Ippo is not helpless. He can still invent offense inside the trap. But it also proves the scale of the problem. He has to work this hard just to breathe. Every burst of success is temporary, and every temporary success costs energy. The cage has not broken. Ippo has only found a gap in the bars. Then comes the punch that should have made everyone relax. Ippo lands a powerful hook, clean enough to make the crowd react like the finish is finally opening in front of him. In many Ippo fights, a shot like that is not just damage. It is a signal. It tells the champion that his timing has arrived, that the opponent can be shaken, that the pressure is about to become a landslide. The crowd understands this language too. They see the hook land, and they expect the familiar chain reaction. The guard cracks, the legs weaken, the follow-up comes, and the opponent falls into Ippo's rhythm. But Take Keiichi does not follow the script. He absorbs it, not effortlessly, not without visible strain, but he remains there. That single refusal changes the emotional temperature of the fight. Ippo has hit him, but the hit has not answered the question. Worse, Take immediately counters with the same suffocating clinch, locking Ippo's arms and nullifying the next attack. This is what makes Take so dangerous. His endurance is not passive. He is not merely taking punishment like a wall. He is surviving one punch so he can erase the punch after it. He turns Ippo's impact into Ippo's frustration. The spectators and commentators begin to grasp the horror of the situation. Ippo's knockout power is landing, but the veteran is not breaking. The champion's usual speed and footwork are less useful because the fight keeps being forced back into chest-to-chest pressure. Take's southpaw style, clinch locking, and relentless body blows combine into what the analysis frames as poisoned fangs. Not one dramatic finisher, but a method designed to drain and deny. For Ippo, the mental challenge is brutal. He is not just wondering why Take is still standing. He is wondering what kind of boxing can defeat a man who makes even a successful punch feel incomplete. And in the audience, Hidebu and the family watch anxiously. That matters because Ippo's struggle is no longer private. His confusion, his pain, and his inability to finish are being witnessed by the person whose belief he most wants to protect. This is the real tactical heart of the match. Ippo's power is not magic. It comes from mechanics. His punches rely on weight transfer, hip rotation, lower body drive, and the ability to turn his entire frame into the blow. The fist is only the final point of delivery. The engine is below the waist. Takeichi understands this with veteran clarity. His clinch does not merely grab Ippo's arms. It interferes with the connection between Ippo's upper body and lower body. It blocks rotation. It stops the punch from traveling cleanly from foot to hip to shoulder to fist. That is why observers begin describing Ippo's punches as dull. He is still throwing. He is still physically strong, but Take has disconnected the wiring. If Ippo cannot rotate, then his strongest punch is reduced to an arm movement. If he cannot plant and drive, then the body behind the punch never fully arrives. This is a brilliant anti-Makunuchi design, because it does not challenge Ippo where he wants to be challenged. It does not say, I can trade with your best punch forever. It says, I will make sure your best punch never fully forms. The southpaw stance makes the angles more uncomfortable. The clinch makes the mechanics worse. The close pressure makes lateral escape harder. Everyone watching begins to realize they were focusing on the wrong surface details. They saw Ippo's form and rotation. They saw the familiar champion pressing forward, but they missed the veteran quietly smothering the root. This is why the crowd falls into stunned silence. They are watching a fighter with more speed, more natural explosive power, and more public expectation being neutralized in the smallest possible space. Take's tactic is like putting a clamp on a machine while the machine is still running. Sparks fly, the motor roars, but the output is gone. That is also why Ippo's frustration becomes so dangerous. If he only thinks I need to punch harder, he loses. The solution is not more effort alone. The solution has to be a new way to create force when the standard kinetic chain has been cut. At the bottom of the sea, the champion has to learn how to punch without the room to swim. At the break, the fight becomes painfully human. Ippo is battered, but his knees remain unshaken. The analysis frames his pride as the last barrier holding him upright, and that phrasing is important. Pride here is not arrogance. It is not the champion looking down on a challenger. It is the final internal brace that keeps the body from accepting collapse before the heart has finished speaking. He has been hit repeatedly. His power has been dulled. His preferred rhythm has been broken. Yet he is still there. Then he sees Hajime. That moment cuts through the tactics like sunlight through deep water. His son is in the crowd, cheering, believing, promising support. For a second, the fight is not about belts, media pressure, or technical traps. It is about a father hearing a voice that reminds him why he cannot look away. Ippo vows internally to win and take the championship belt. But the corner is tense. Kamigawa assesses the damage, pushes him hard, and demands that he strike with force, while keeping his eyes fully open. That instruction is not casual. It is the coach recognizing that one blink, one moment of blurred focus, can become the end. Then, suddenly, Ippo accidentally strikes Coach Kamigawa. It is shocking because it reveals how overloaded he is. His body is still in battle mode even in the corner. His mind is stretched between pain, guilt, family, command, and survival. And while the corner absorbs that strange burst of chaos, the ringside analysis turns terrifyingly clear. Spectators begin describing Takeichi's strategy as a spider's web. That image is perfect. Take is not randomly clinching. He is weaving. He controls the lower body. He removes lateral movement. He forces Ippo into unfavorable infighting positions. Every time the champion tries to step, rotate, or build rhythm, another strand catches him. Most importantly, observers realize that the Dempsey roll has effectively been sealed. Ippo's legendary weapon needs rhythm, space, and rotation. Take has stolen all three. So the emotional rally and tactical crisis happen at the same time. Hajime gives Ippo a reason to keep fighting, but Take's web makes it unclear whether Ippo still has the tools to win. Then Ippo finds the shot. A clean 1-2 lands with the kind of precision that should answer every tactical question in the arena. The veteran falls dramatically to the canvas, and for one electric second, everyone believes the nightmare has ended. This is the release the crowd has been waiting for. After all the clinch traps, all the sealed rotation, all the frustration of watching Ippo's power get muted, pure punching finally seems to break through. The referee starts the count. The crowd surges. Ippo's strength is confirmed in the most direct language boxing has. The opponent is down. But Takeichi's response becomes one of the most unsettling moments of the entire fight. He pushes the referee aside and stands immediately. Not slowly, not with a careful, blinking attempt to gather himself. He rises so quickly that the scene feels wrong, as if the knockdown did not register properly in his body. The referee still continues the standing 8 count, because the rules of the ring must protect fighters, even when fighters refuse to protect themselves. And that detail matters. Take's toughness is not being romanticized as invincibility. The standing 8 count exists because this is dangerous. He may be able to move, but movement is not the same as safety. The selected memory emphasizes that Take can fight through moments where consciousness itself is compromised. His body takes the punishment, his mind flickers, and still something inside him insists on continuing. For Ippo, this is a psychological punch almost as heavy as any uppercut. He has proven he can drop Take, but he has not proven he can stop him. The corner immediately adjusts the tactical message. Do not chase isolated knockdowns as if one clean punch will solve this. Use combinations. Pin him against the ropes. Accumulate damage. Control the ring. That is a mature response because Take is teaching Ippo that one dramatic moment does not equal victory. Against a veteran like this, every finish has to be secured. Beneath that tactical instruction, Ippo thinks of Hajime. The fight is now about showing courage, not just achieving a result. But Take rising after the 1-2 makes the central question even harsher. How do you defeat a man whose body refuses to accept the evidence of defeat? After the knockdown fails to finish the fight, Ippo reaches the emotional and tactical cliff. He is not only tired, he is carrying guilt. The memory of family injury, the fear of what his own violence can cause, and the pressure of his son's eyes all crash together at once. He cries out in regret, and Hajime answers with support. That exchange is not a side detail. It pulls Ippo back from being swallowed by guilt. It reminds him that the people watching him do not only fear what boxing can take away, they also believe in what his courage can show. Then the referee restarts the action. There is still time remaining in round 6. The fight does not pause until Ippo has resolved every feeling cleanly. He has to choose while damaged, and his choice is the Dempsey roll. But the mood around this choice is very different from a highlight reel comeback. This is not a fresh champion unveiling his signature move with confidence. This is a battered fighter reaching for a last resort because normal mechanics have been sealed. The Dempsey roll is powerful because of rhythm, rotation, and successive body movement. It is also dangerous because once that motion begins, the commitment is enormous. Observers recognize the stance immediately. The crowd understands what could happen. They anticipate the possibility that this move could break the clinch seal and reclaim Ippo's offense. But they also recognize the darker side. Take has already been dropped. He has already shown signs of physical and mental impairment. A finishing blow in that state carries terrifying implications if it connects fully. That is what makes this moment so tense. Ippo needs the finishing blow, but the finishing blow might be too much. Hope and fear occupy the same breath. The visuals of Ippo's determined eyes and shifting posture make the technique feel iconic, but the final image refuses to give us comfort. Take moves in with a figure-8 approach, preparing for close-range combat again. He is not waiting to be finished. He is still weaving the web. Ippo is preparing to break the trap, while the veteran is preparing to tighten it one more time. The Dempsey roll requires rhythm. It needs the body to weave, build momentum, and turn defense into a pendulum of offense. If Ippo gets that pendulum moving, the opponent is no longer dealing with one punch. They are dealing with a chain of motion. Take Keiichi's answer is beautifully brutal. He does not let the pendulum swing. He charges in. He interrupts the weaving motion before Ippo's momentum becomes complete. That is veteran experience at its most savage. A younger or less composed fighter might freeze, brace, or back away from the aura of the Dempsey roll. Take dives into the space where the technique is still forming. He attacks the startup. He spoils the rhythm before it becomes a weapon. Ippo is stunned because Take looks like he should not have enough left to do this. He has been dropped, he has been battered, he has looked close to unconscious. Yet he still identifies the exact instant where Ippo's motion is vulnerable and crashes into it. Then comes the uppercut. Despite his apparent exhaustion, Take fires upward and catches Ippo on the chin, sending him flying. This is not just a dramatic hit, it is the veteran's warning that as long as he can read the rhythm, near collapse is not the same as defeat. The fight then escalates into raw exchange. The beautiful diagrams break down into simultaneous punches, sweat, grit, and stubbornness. Ippo's internal struggle resurfaces, especially the guilt and worry tied to his father and family. But Hidebo's support remains an emotional anchor. It keeps him from drifting backward into hesitation. As the action resumes, another tactical problem appears. Take's low stance. The targets shrink. Conventional openings become harder to find. The clinch threat still lurks. Every step forward risks being swallowed again. But Ippo's response is the essence of his fighting identity. He resolves not to retreat. If the opponent is low, he will adjust the angle. If the arms are threatened, he will seek the vertical line. If the sea is heavy, he will push upward. He throws the uppercut, not because the path is obvious, but because forward is the only direction left. The final stage of the fight is not elegant. It is trench warfare. Ippo and Take trade punishment at close range until technique and spirit become almost impossible to separate. Ippo absorbs monstrous body and head blows. His face, posture, and breathing all show the toll. But he refuses to yield. This is where every thread of the battle collides. The clinch has restricted him. The southpaw angles have disturbed him. The veteran has survived his best hits. The Dempsey roll has been threatened, interrupted, and turned into a risk. Yet Ippo keeps finding ways to create offense from places where offense should not exist. He lands a powerful Dempsey roll punch that deeply impacts Take, cracking the veteran's focus and stance for a moment. It feels like the web has finally been torn. But Take still answers with a figure-8 clinch, sealing Ippo's arms again and proving the discipline of his strategy. Every time Ippo rises toward freedom, Take drags him back into pressure. And then the fight becomes a collision of wills. Simultaneous punches, sweat and blood flying, both fighters visibly exhausted. Neither man willing to be the first to accept what his body is telling him. The crowd erupts because they are no longer watching a clean tactical contest. They are watching two fighters ask the same question with every punch. Who can endure one moment longer? Hidebu's emotional support remains present, turning the fight from a title defense into a father's proof of courage. That does not make the damage lighter. It makes it heavier, because every blow is now connected to the people watching outside the ropes. Finally, Take collapses from exhaustion and the referee intervenes. Ippo stands victorious, but the image is not clean triumph. He is battered, he is drained. The victory is written in bruises. This is why the fight matters so much. Ippo did not simply overpower Takeichi. He survived a system designed to neutralize him. He learned that at higher levels, opponents will not always fight his strength directly. They will seal it, distort it, smother it, and force him to rebuild himself mid-fight. The battle at the bottom of the sea ends with Ippo standing, but it makes one truth impossible to ignore. Standing after drowning is not the same as leaving unharmed. The reason this battle is worth breaking down is that its lessons echo across the series. We see similar principles whenever fighters abandon safe, clean boxing and enter a place where rhythm, clinch, and willpower decide everything. In Itagaki's brutal exchanges with Imai, precision breaks down into raw survival. His punches lose finesse, but his spirit keeps throwing. The fight becomes less about perfect form and more about whether a fighter can produce meaningful offense after the plan has collapsed. That mirrors Ippo's crisis against Take. Technical purity becomes impossible, and the fighter has to create power from desperation. Later, rhythm reading becomes another expression of the same chess match. Fighters begin anticipating weaving patterns, finding narrow gaps, throwing uppercuts inside restrictive positions, and punishing habits that once looked safe. The ring becomes less about who has more power in isolation, and more about who can deny the other fighter's rhythm. In another veteran versus challenger style clash, calm blocking, southpaw shifts, clinch breaks, and narrow guard openings become decisive. Those moments reinforce what Takeichi exposed. Boxing is not a straight line from power to victory. Power needs access, it needs space, it needs mechanics, it needs rhythm. If an opponent can take those away, even a monstrous puncher becomes ordinary for a moment. That is the nightmare Take created for Ippo. But Ippo's answer is also the series' answer. Adaptation is not always pretty. Sometimes it is an ugly uppercut thrown while trapped. Sometimes it is a full-body twist when the body is exhausted. Sometimes it is refusing to fall long enough to discover the one opening that should not exist. The bottom of the sea is not where Ippo's boxing dies. It is where we see what parts of it can survive without oxygen. So what did Takeichi prove? First, he proved that Ippo's power has conditions. It is terrifying when the full body can rotate, when the legs can drive, when the shoulders can turn, and when pressure can flow freely. But seal the hips, trap the arms, smother the stance, and that power loses its edge. Second, Take proved that endurance can become offense. Surviving Ippo's punches was not passive. Every time Take stayed up, he forced Ippo to spend more belief, more stamina, and more emotional energy. He made Ippo question whether the punch that worked 1 second ago would matter in the next. Third, the fight proved that family support can strengthen a boxer, but it can also expose him. Hidebu's presence gives Ippo strength, but it also makes every dangerous moment heavier. The win is personal, not mechanical. Ippo is not just defending a belt. He is proving something under the eyes of someone who believes in him. And finally, this fight foreshadows the kinds of challenges Ippo keeps facing afterward. Opponents who throw repeated heavy blows like a tornado. Fighters who bring world-level strength and force him into close-range power exchanges. Brutal matches where fouls, blood, endurance, and mental recognition blur the line between clean sport and survival. Take's battle is one of the clearest warnings in the story. The higher Ippo climbs, the more opponents will attack not just his chin or ribs, but the structure of his boxing itself. That is why the fight feels so suffocating. It is a victory, but it is also an X-ray. It shows the champion's heart, yes, but it also shows the places where the armor can be opened. And in Hajime no Ippo, those revelations matter as much as belts, because every hard fight leaves behind a question. Can Ippo evolve before the next opponent finds the same weakness? The battle at the bottom of the sea ends with Ippo standing, exhausted and victorious, but the water does not disappear. It waits for the next man strong enough, smart enough, or desperate enough to drag him back down.